the time it gets power till it is ready, it boots up. You'll actually see it, if the faders are different than wherever the cue is. And we got digital cue built in here that I'll show you last of all, or pretty last. But anyway, the point is you'll see these faders move, is what I was getting at when you turn it on. So don't think, jump out of the room that there's something else going on up here. So just be patient. So at 28 seconds, the board is basically up ready to go. So just don't think you turn the power on and you can't do anything with it the first second, because you're not going to. All right, so then the next part of this is you've been using that console. Every channel on there has a fader. It has a gain or a trim, which is right here. That's at the very top on that one, that red knob. So this has a gain and trim also. So I'm going to go back and start at the top of that channel. So this gain or trim is how much volume that I'm bringing into the whole microphone. It's kind of like the valve at the street letting water into this building. Okay. Now once we get the water in the building, I'm gonna go to the kitchen, the bathroom, the sink in the bathroom, the commode in the bathroom. My point is I'm allowing certain different amounts of water to get to these things as I need them. Does that make sense? So what happens is after we get that main amount of water or sound in, then I've got a place here that I can vary it that goes to the house. On that one you have what's called auxiliaries. You see where you have these labels on? This one has what they call mixes. Mix one, and those basically auxiliary equals mix. So if anybody, just remember now it's going to be called mix rather than auxiliary. It can still be labeled and named, but anyway, so that'll be aux 1, equal to aux 1 on there. Aux 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. This one has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 potential. If you notice, the colors changed to green on these last 4. See? Now watch. Change to amber. So you see the colors. So that's the difference in being what they call pre-fader and post-fader. Pre-fader means I'm getting the sound to these before it went through this fader here, the master fader. We want it to be pre. We don't want, if I pull this down, for me to pull everybody's monitors down on them. And if you had it on post-fader, if I pull this fader down, it's going to make all of them go down. Well, they're on that mix. So if I had them up here on these green ones, I can change those over to pre if we need to, but you're a long ways from needing that yet. So I wouldn't change them at this point. So what I'm saying is here's your auxiliaries, like it's on that board there. Then there's a couple little other things here that the phantom power supply, which y'all are not using, see that plus 48 volts here? Okay, that plus 48 is used when we have like a podium mic, like a little skinny podium mic, condenser mic like we had acquired, the hanging mics. I don't even know if we have that.
We have 4.
4 of them? Okay, well, it's got to be on those, and he may have it already on the way. It should be, but we'll find out. And also sometimes on the overhead, like on a drum. The overheads, that's a condenser a lot of times. That would be most of the condensers y'all might would use, okay? So that has to be on in the case of, like I said, for choir mics or whatever, it would have to be on. What channels were your choir mics on before?
Those last 4.
Down 4. Here?
On the top side. Go down. The other way. Those.
So that's 16. Is that 16?
That's I don't even see no number on there. Yeah, that's 16, 15,
okay.
14, 13.
So let me just see something. So 16. Okay. I don't know. We'll have to find out. We might have to tap them. Okay.
Can we go down now?
No. Let's stay on this path. Okay. I didn't really mean to get into that other than the fact I wanted you to know it was phantom power supply. Okay. Then on that board you have another little button right there that is like got a little division sign. you see where it goes a line and it kind of tilts down right there where that button is at the top, the very right there. See that button beside that?
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah. This button is the same as that one, except that what that is reverse phasing. So if I have a microphone and it's out of phase with the other ones, I could actually literally reverse it and it sounds stronger. Okay. That's all it is. So you probably won't need to use that if everything's wired correctly in the floor and stuff. Okay, we didn't rewire anything like that. But my point is that's what that is. The other thing is the roll-off. This part right here, I'll show you what happens. See this button here where it says high pass filter, HPF? If I turn that on, watch. See it? See it flip up and down? Okay, if I have it off, it's up. If I turn it on, it's down, and I can also vary that. See right here? All right, what that is on that board is fixed, so if you just either turn it on or off, which would be like just only being able to just do this. With this one, I can change what frequency it does it. What that does is like, if I'm walking on the stage and I've got this on the stand, you can actually hear that up through that stand. When you use that roll-off filter on that, it basically will roll off all of that low frequency and you don't get all that extra noise.
Okay.
So it's made, and any microphone that's being used for voice, for most normal use other than something like a keyboard channel or a bass channel, they can be rolled off without hurting anything because you ain't going to be, nobody's got a voice that low.
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't hurt anything.
So, like, when we're doing praise and worship and we're moving those mics, that
It would,
function should
it would
be
help
on.
that noise that you're hearing, that low noise, the handling noise. Some of the higher stuff would still could potentially be there.
Okay.
Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of the roll-off. Okay.
And is that for a single mic, or that would be for
Every mic has the ability for that.
Okay.
Yeah, every mic has that ability. So if I put it on that one and I go to this one, it's off.
Oh, okay.
Whenever we're doing something here and we want it to be engaged, it should be lit up.
Okay.
Okay. Also, I didn't get that far yet, but as long as I did it, I selected a channel, right? If I want to make a change to any channel at any time, specifically the individual channel, then I'm going to select it. Okay. And that way by selecting that channel, I'm doing whatever changes I need for the individual mic.
Okay.
Because with mics, everybody's voice is different anyway, so you can tweak them accordingly.
Okay.
All right, so is there any particular question about that first little section up there? Because the next section, we're going to go with the equalizer section, which is this section right here on this board. It's a little bit more expanded here. It's just that you can do more with it.
So, Steve, you're probably going to get to it later, but I was concerned that I couldn't hear the individual mic on, like when I was on Sunday.
Yeah, you can. You couldn't, but you can.
Okay.
There's a plug, there's a headphone jack right here.
Yeah, I found the headphone jack. I
Right,
just
so
wasn't able to isolate.
you have to select solo,
Okay.
and it comes to the headphones.
Okay.
So you have to do solo is the way that you would have on there. It's called PFL, I think.
That bottom button.
PFL, yeah. So this is called solo.
Okay.
So that's how you can hear the individual. Okay. And you can hear more than one if you select them. Same. But then it's just harder to discern if somebody has the right mic.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, that's how but you plug your headphones in here, you select solo here, and your volume controls right here. Headphones, I believe is right. No, right here. That level has to be up.
Okay.
Get your headphones.
So it was down, so I wouldn't hear it. Yeah.
And when you isolate that, you're hearing exactly what's going out there.
When you hear this, you're hearing what's on this particular mic channel.
Okay.
At that point. So, okay. Right now we're using this mic up here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, I turned it up so you can hear it specifically. All right. So right now, you're hearing overall, okay, that's specifically this mic. You hear it, it may be level, high enough level that that's, because you're still hearing the house at this point too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how that works.
Okay, cool.
You wanna check it? So I'm talking to you with the overall level here. Okay, and then I'm gonna talk to you right there with punching it in, punching it out. It's gonna just give you that, okay? And again, it could be keyboard channel, it could be any channel you want to.
Okay,
So I'm just gonna lay these here for the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so that answered that
Yep.
particular question you had.
Yes.
All right, so back to coming down the channel, because what I want to do is come down these channels to make sure I identify things for you. And then we'll work over to the master. And then we're going to basically work into the Q stuff. And frankly, that's the majority of what y'all need to know, because that's when you change your volumes and stuff, okay? We've got the gain preset pretty good level here. Normally I like 12 to 1 o'clock, depending on the level that we need for recording. Some places I need to be more like 1 or so o'clock because they're quieter. When I have a louder type set of mics, I don't need that to be quite as high. Now I can control all of that on the board anyway, but I want to make sure I have enough in my recording levels. Okay, now, so the next thing here, I mean, does everybody kind of understand that just the first part about the coming in up here on the gain trim, the high pass filter if you want to use it, the phantom power supply.
Go back to the high pass filter. That was the one to keep the noise out. Okay. Gotcha.
So, and we can change how much where we can do it. If you look on this screen, which I want to show you something in a minute. But if you notice, these are all bars, and if you look high enough, you can see frequencies down here. And then you can see how much cut it is. So 0, -6, -10, -15 is the way that below 0 is. I would not want to try to roll it way up here. That would be a problem. Down here, usually it's about 100 or some down.
Okay,
120 down. But that's kind of but that's just engaging it so you're using it or not.
okay.
For me, I use them. I mean, so I like to do it. Because I don't want all that extra energy trying to get my mics for low feedback. All right. Everybody also understands that you have select. You have to be green, because that'll make your microphone not work. Let me go back to this channel here a second. Okay, so I'm talking to you now, and now we don't, because I just cut it off all over the world.
Okay.
When I say all over the world, in the main front of house, but I also cut it off in the monitors.
Okay.
If I do it at this layer. If I did it within a monitor mix, I can cut it out of any one monitor mix without cutting it out in the house.
Okay.
So this level is primarily on the uncolored level. That's the house, front of house. Okay? So that's something you want to make sure that you're good with, is that your front of house is no color.
Okay.
And the house is
The main speaker
Okay.
for the congregation.
Okay.
Whatever how you want to call it, it's fine, but
Yeah,
that's called front of house typically in the industry.
Okay.
Okay, so I refer to it that way. All right, but if I went to mix 1 or monitor 1, that's one of the sets of monitors. Okay, if I go to 2, that's another set of monitors, and I think 3 and maybe even 4 were other sets of monitors. Right now I'm not sure about all of those, but I know that number 5 was our recording. Okay, and I don't think we had anything on 6 unless it went back to the foyer.
Remotes, yeah.
Does that kind of make sense a little bit? Okay. So,
Skip, look on that again. Tell me what number was the remote?
and again, these would have been the auxiliary.
remotes on the
Easier?
No,
No, the middle.
right here. These over here. What one was called remote? Which y'all had remote called remote?
I don't see a remote.
It was with those 3 main
Name
volumes.
those to me the way they are on here. Name what
These
they.
are here?
Yeah, top.
Quad monitor, VCR recording,
Okay.
piano monitor, pastor's monitor, CD recording, tape recording.
Okay. So The second one you said was called
The
what?
middle, yeah, it was the middle of those.
Oh, it said VCR.
It's CRMON remotes.
Yeah, but see, you ain't recording on the VCR no more, are you?
No,
Okay, unless we were using that still on distribution, which we got to figure that out.
yeah.
Some kind of way here. Okay.
That black knob was the,
So anyway, what you had is you got three. You named to me 3 monitor mixes. I think pastor, choir,
piano,
piano, and
which the pastor's the organ one.
okay. So what I'm saying is we have those monitor mixes in that accordance. He plugged them up. Supposed to be the same way, which he should have.
Yeah.
So this remote, they don't have, they covered up with remote.
That was just
They ain't
the.
got no number on
That's
it.
just set for the main volume for them.
It's on remote.
Your main volume will be over here on these two, if you go to them. So we're going to go to that section as soon as we finish this EQ up here. And then it may make more sense that way. Okay, so let's go to the next section that was on that board and just make sure that we understand it. On that board we have high mids, low mids, and sub or bass. Okay, so you really had 4 knobs. You also have 4 knobs on here. So here's your high. All right, you see it. So what's happening? Let me go back one step. Back on the menu, when this board boots up, it's always going to come up to that, which is the main menu. The EQ that I'm looking at now, you see it right here in this lower right corner? That's what we were looking at a minute ago when you saw me doing stuff. I want to go there because I'm going to show you what EQ is doing, and that's basically on this channel that I'm playing with right now. Okay, so this is the amplitude, how much I'm adding or taking away from it. Okay, that's what they call it, amplitude or volume. Okay, now this actually is moving the frequency. Remember I told you there's frequencies? Okay, so this is moving the frequency, and then this is the Q. So you can actually make it a very narrow or very wide. Narrow is better because you're not sucking a lot of other sound out of it at the same time. So what happens with a narrow one, I can actually pull back a feedback. So if I have a squeal, if I can locate that deal, I can actually go to it. I can pull enough out of it to get rid of that feedback, and now I can get more level on the whole mic.
Show that again.
Okay, now, so first off, we have the ability to add or subtract at a given on each one of these faders, or volume knobs, or knobs, not volume, but anyway. Also, by the way, remember that light I told you has to be on? If it's on, fine. If it's not, you see it goes to kind of a background kind of a line. You see it's bold.
Okay.
It's working. All right. So if I want to subtract a high frequency feedback, then I can take this, make it narrow by adjusting the Q.
Just in the queue.
See the Q, this one here? Called a Q. See. Anyway, see how I'm making it wide? That's the whole, if I pull that, I'm pulling stuff all the way up and down that whole curve.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. I want to make it narrow and called a notch filter. So I'm notching out an area. All right, so now I can actually adjust to the frequency. You see where I'm moving this up the scale or down the scale? So I can do this. Now let me make this one step clearer. And you can get this app if you want to. It's free. It's actually a app from Audio Technica. Come back. Okay. It's called AT Tools on here. But when you look at it on if you go to the App Store, it's going to have a circle. It's going to look like that circle and that diamond that was there a minute ago. You go back, watch it. See it right there? Audio Technica. All right, now, when we get there, we're going to go to the RTA SPL and go into there. And what's going to happen is you're going to get this graph available. See right here? Now watch. Ooh, can you whistle this morning? So if I have a feedback, I can actually see the frequency. That frequency will match on these numbers pretty much. if nothing else, you can get close. So if you happen to hear it, don't let it be so wild. You need to back the volume down so that it's not hurting anything.
Right.
But then you can ease this back up enough to see that, because that frequency will stand out beyond others. Okay, but you don't let it go just really loud. That's bad news. So do it, but you do it easy enough to see it, and then you can pull it down, and then you can keep working. What will happen is you'll get that one, and another one will develop at a different frequency typically. Then we go to the next fader, make it a notch filter, and I'm gonna find that frequency. See, so that's on this one.
Okay.
And then I might go to the next one. I'm gonna make it a notch filter. And then I'm gonna find that frequency. And I'm gonna subtract a little bit of it. I might have to do a little more of that one. And then I might have another frequency here that's getting me, but I might have a little bit broader thing in this bass range, okay? So I might leave it a little broader, and I might just pull it out a little bit. And then if I actually have the high pass filter on, on a given thing, then it's still, all of that still is effective, although that might have took care of that one, so this may not need to be as big a deal. Did that make any sense whatsoever?
Makes sense. One question
I mean, this kind of will make it more reality.
But
you're seeing what you're hearing.
Right.
Yeah, are those adjustments primarily if there's the squeal? Or,
Well, I mean, they are, but you're seeing the sound, just like my voice is going, and somebody else's voice will be at a little different range.
Right.
That's actually seeing the frequencies that you hear. It's basically from below 32 hertz all the way up to above 16K, 20K. So that's actually the audibility range that humans hear.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I have music going, I'm going to see this stuff bouncing around anyway. And I can be on an iPad too. It can be on any, whatever. But the point is that so I would subtract that out.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Okay, or actually I would subtract it. I would bring it down level with the other stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Because it's outstanding otherwise. Okay?
Cool. I'm
So
sorry, Tim, you had a...
that should be a tool that can help you a lot. And all right, now that's how the equalizer functions, and that's aside from, if you do that first, trying to tone a mic to be a little bit more bassy or whatever, now you can still do that by how much you're subtracting, as long as it's not feeding back in an area. It'll actually be more highly reactive now than it would when all those peaks in it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? In other words, if I've subtracted all those hot spots, a little bit of change will be more noticeable.
Okay.
Before you might have had to make a big change, and you still had, because you're trying to overcome a bunch of nasty peaks. Okay? I'm going to turn these back flat for now, because I don't know that that's what we needed to do. I just wanted to show you what was going on with that. I don't care if I leave that on or not, but it's not as big a deal.
So let me make sure I'm
Okay.
understanding what you just showed us. Could that be for the overall system, or if
That's on that channel.
Okay, yeah.
You can actually do it on the master too, and you also have another equalizer on the master.
Okay.
So there's plenty of equalizers on here. That's just for one channel.
Okay.
So when you refer to one channel, you're just saying like one mic. That's
This
a
mic right here.
Okay.
Watch. Okay. So first off, this is not going to affect me hardly at all. Okay, as far as the tone. But if I go in here and I take this one and I subtract this one, it's going to probably pull my voice down in certain ranges that you'll hear. Okay. If I don't do that one so much, and I come up here and I increase 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, okay, you hear me increase that range. Is that making sense? That's
Yeah.
just on this mic.
Okay.
So every one of these mics has the ability for me to work, and that's probably good because you have those other mics that are not matched with
Yeah.
the newest mics.
Yeah.
The newest mics will not have nearly the aggravation, I don't think, that some of these older ones might.
So is that what we referred to as the highs and the lows on that? Or at least that's what the
Here you go.
terminology
Here's the thing.
Tommy used.
You remember that Bose you used to have up? The old saying was, no highs, no lows, it must be Bose. Okay. because really when it was on mid-ranges is what they did it with. So they had to jack up the highs to make it have some highs, and they had to try to jack up the lows to make it sound like it had a full range. But yes, that's what Tommy would call highs and voice or mid. So voice and mid would be in these ranges. Highs would have been more that range. Lows would have been this. So just like on there. I mean, if you think about what you're doing on there, it's the same thing. You just have a lot more range that you can work with here, and you can actually see it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that making reasonable sense?
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I notice a lot of information. All right. So what this board has. So right now, what we just went through is what that board has. We haven't done the fader, but everybody knows the fader is the house, and we'll have faders for our. Used to, you turn those blue knobs and all on your mixes, your auxiliaries. When you wanted more monitor, you ended up turning one of the individual knob on a channel. Well, y'all might not have turned it. But
I
it
was
might
gonna
have
say,
been turned.
I didn't know what to do
how
with
they
them,
turn it. But what I'm saying is, if I wanted this microphone louder in a monitor mix, one or the other, I would have had to turn that volume to that mix.
Like these here?
Yeah, you see how they're at different levels?
Yeah.
That meant that this mix had less mic than the one above it that's jacked over a little higher.
Okay.
So it was there whether you realized it or not, that's what was going on, okay? So therefore, if I needed more in my choir monitor, a little bit more of a vocal to kind of for them to keep up with somebody that was singing individually, I might have had that put into choir monitors, for instance, or I might have
That might
had.
have been good to know.
Well, that's when I'm crossing that bridge right now.
That might have been good to know.
Okay, so in this console, I showed you a minute ago that by turning on and off this, we lose it all over. Okay, we have to select it when we want to make changes, and solo will let you hear this individual channel or combination of channels. Okay, now, like if you had a singing group and you were wondering what was going on that balance. Okay, now the auxiliaries that we just kind of were talking about. So if I go to the auxiliaries, remember it's called mix now. I'll select mix 1. Let's see if I can get this to happen. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. I hear it hitting something up there. I'm not sure which ones it is. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's in one of the sets up there. I don't know which one it is. What was it called on number 1 on that one? Choir?
Choir monitor.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's probably in the choir monitors, okay, because he put them in the order that he could to match. Okay, so then next thing you had was VCR, then you had like pastor
Piano.
monitors or something, piano. Okay, so if I go to, not 2, if I go to 3, then I'm supposed to be able to have this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Is that a powered monitor where you got to have a volume on it? I'm talking about up there.
Piano.
Do you have to turn is it plugged in to the
Yeah.
wall?
It's wireless, ain't it?
I was split in.
1, 2,
Those
1,
bottom
2,
controls.
1, 2. Okay, well, I mean, I hear it going through it. I don't know how loud it is at the piano because it's not big as the house speaker.
Yeah, it's just that.
But anyway,
one
so
small-
this microphone is
The white
going.
one. Oh, okay.
So this is going into the
No, I put it in. I changed it out last week.
front one was pastor monitors. Is that right?
The pastor
The
monitors
next one,
might
the 4.
Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it's going in there. So I don't know how loud it is at the pastor, but it's definitely going in down there. Is it going off the amp or is it 1, 2, 1, 1, 1? Looks like it's right there.
be. That's showing remotes.
Well, it may be, okay, it's probably going to the remotes then. 1, 2. But I'm changing the level here is what's making me say that. And then this is this individual mic. So I can hear it changing there, hear it? So what I'm trying to show you is these faders are the same as those blue knobs on that board. So if I've got pastor monitors picked, I've got to have whatever I need going there. It may not be with him for all he needs, okay? So it would be his mic in that case. So I'm just giving you the levels here in order to show you that I can raise and lower it in his particular monitors, okay? So other than that, the same thing's happening on your recording over here.
Okay.
So on your recording, if I would do that, you see me pulling it back? Look.
Yeah, I see
Okay, and then you see me raising it up? So the same thing's happening on the monitors, the remotes, recording. So anywhere that I'm sending it off of a mix, I can change that mix without affecting other mixes.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to let you know.
Okay.
Okay, so if I get back off of here a minute, I'm back, always back to the main front of house.
Okay.
So if you're not using one of these and they're not lit up, undo it, it's gonna go back to front of house.
That's house,
If you
okay.
got it, it's gonna be amber. The reason I'm staying here, you only see 8 of these, is because I'm on layer B, which I'll show you in just a second to clarify it. Because the way these mics plug in, they're on layer B 1 through 8.
Okay.
So you got microphones available, lines available all the way from 1 through 24, and on layer B 1 through 8, which actually is up to is 25 through 32, if you count them that way.
Oh, okay.
But really, I refer to it layer A, layer B. It's easier to think about.
Okay.
But that's where these wireless mics are on right here. All right. So that's our mixes equals auxiliary for monitors.
So question real quick. So like if they say turn this monitor up, this is what we're referring to.
Yes, it is referring to that, and that also relates to which monitor.
Right.
So you would want to. We can actually name the monitors in a way. You can put tape on here if you want to, but these strips are digital. We can actually put names of microphones and people in these, or green, or red, yellow, green, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And channels right here.
I'll show you that in just a second. We're just about there.
Okay.
Okay. So once you do it, you won't have to do a lot of changing on it. Just unless you change somebody on a mic or something. All right. So these are the auxiliaries on that board equals mix on this board.
Okay.
Okay.
Turn it off this house.
So for monitors, we raise and lower individual mics for whatever we need in monitors. Now, just trying to make sure what my thought path is here. All right. There's 2 more things on here, but I don't really want to go deep into them other than letting you know they're here for the moment. There's a noise gate and a compressor on every channel. You say, what in the world's a noise gate and a compressor? Okay. Well, if you got somebody that just blows a microphone out on you, we can use that to kind of, it's called compressing. What that is it's almost like if I'm lifting weights and I got an empty bar. I can go to the ceiling with it, yeah. All right, but I come on here and somebody puts 5 pounds on each end. Now I got 10 pounds I'm lifted. That's harder for me to do. They add another 2.5 pounds to each end. They do it again and again, and it's harder for me to do it. So that's what the compressor does. So therefore, it's harder for somebody to just shoot you through the roof.
Okay.
And so it makes it more under control. You don't want to throw 50 pounds on each end all of a sudden.
Right. Okay.
So that's for those people that sing loud up in the microphone.
Well, singing loud, too loud, that could be one. That's the way to work it. The other thing is a drum, a bass drum. It's just overdoing sometimes a bass guitar.
Okay.
So those are items that would definitely consider using the compressor on. I'm not going to go into the compressor aspect now because understanding the compressor is not a 2-minute discussion. What I gave you was the brief action.
What it's for?
What it is you have a ratio. So I got one signal coming in, and then you can do 0 to, I don't know, probably 5 or 10 times the weight of it coming out. So it's a ratio of like 1 to 5, 1 to 3.
Right, okay.
I a lot of times will use 1 to 3. It just works good. And then you got a volume to make up for the volume difference here. All right, I'm gonna show you. I can't not show you. But we ain't gonna go into depth because it's not gonna. It'll make sense, but the total comprehension is probably gonna be a little trickier. Okay, so first off, when I have done this, let's see, selected this, got it on there. Okay, so if I turn this up here, this one about here, this one here, and start compressing 1, 2, 3. All right, first off, you see these lights, these red lights starting to go. The more I turn them, the worse it's going to get compression wise. So and where I'm compressing here, you see it's starting to compress. All right, now watch. Let me go back and turn this back up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so if I do that, I'm not compressing, right? I could also make up my gain here. All right, so if I do this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. If I pull it back over here, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I want to keep this gain to make up. You don't want to squash it, but you want to have it under control.
Okay.
That's probably about all I'm going to say about that for now. Okay, right. I'm going to turn it on. So you see what's happening. Okay. All right. So that's the compressor, and that's the gate. Equalizer. So again, these are turned off, these are turned on, so therefore these are engaged. Those are not, those are disengaged. Okay. Equalizer, we covered the equalizer section. Any questions on any of the main channel, input, equalizer section, or any of that stuff that I can clarify? I mean, any question at all is fine.
I think I'm following you.
Okay, so watch one more little quickie here. You see I've got this channel selected. If I was to take it off of LR, guess what LR is? Left, right. It's not engaged into the house right now. 1, 2, 1, 2. I've disengaged it. 1, 2. So if somebody ever has knocked those off and it's not lit up, it needs to be lit up for the channel.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have the problem, but if it happens, I'm just kind of giving you an idea that there is method to the madness there.
Okay.
It's kind of on that one. If you want to assign those down here, it's not going to the mix.